Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, JustDabney, where today I'm going to be talking about Notion and how I use Notion as a PhD student for productivity purposes and keeping track of all of the different things that I do related to my dissertation or any side projects or even in some cases outreach projects. So yeah, I'm going to just try to keep this as brief as possible. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, no matter what type of graduate student you are, whether you do research or not in a lab, you can still use Notion to keep track of your various tasks. And it's still a very useful tool in general, regardless if you're using it for research or your personal non-academic or non-science life. So yeah. So this is my landing page for Notion. So when you first sign up for Notion, because Notion is also used by businesses and work groups, they have a business option, I recall, and that one you have to pay for. So unless your advisor is paying you, then you would go for the personal account, which is free. And I think you can only have one person on there at a time. So, but I could be wrong, so double check that. But anyways, when you first sign up for Notion and you get your account and everything, on the left hand here where my mouse is, you'll have some templates already on this side for you. But what I did to get this weekly agenda page is I went to add a page, go to untitled, and then they have a template section. Now the template section is really all you need. I would not recommend wasting time to like create a page from scratch. So I'm just going to, hold on, let's reduce this a little bit. No one needs to see me that up close. But so they do have this education section. So since we're talking about students here, you can use it for class notes. I don't really use it for class notes or like keeping tracks of, reading lists, grade calculator, because currently, hopefully it'll stay that way, but, I'm finished with classes. And so I don't need to use this section. I think even if I was taking classes, I was never like that good of a student to like keep track of all these, details. So, but you do have this as an option. Keep your class notes that, you can like open a page and it'll like all your extra details about those notes will be there. So this is a very helpful section. There is a thesis planning section with sources, topics. It's a really good template right here, I think, for keeping track of a thesis. But I plan to do it a different type of way, and I'm going to show you that later. But going back to the weekly agenda page, what I did was actually go under personal and weekly agenda. So this is the template that I use to create that landing page that you saw earlier. So I do like the check off options, and I'll explain that later. But yeah, this is what I use. And so then you would hit use template. You can just save edits. And so yeah, that's how you get the page, and then you can edit each of these sections. You can add your section. So that's how you get the template. And so I highly recommend you use templates and just modify the templates rather than creating a page from scratch. It's just really time consuming. So going back to my weekly agenda page, I'll actually just delete this. So As far as formatting, it's pretty straightforward as far as you can get, how you get these pictures, these icons. It's easy to figure out on your own. But I do want to show like how I use this, particularly for graduate school. So everything in red with the red background here has all of the stuff related to academia, any projects, outreach stuff, anything related to science essentially is highlighted in red. And so what I do is I rank things from 1 to 10. And then if they're like a 10, then I add them to this page. But there's a lot of extra stuff that's not included on this weekly agenda that's very small. So yeah, so that's my task. And for me, what I like to do is my week actually, I always like to start the week off on a Sunday instead of a Monday. But so I'm in the lab usually on the weekends to work just because it's a lot more convenient for me. And so when I create these labels at the top, I like to put like where I will be in general that day. So in general, because I'm in the lab on the weekends, I just put lab. And then WFH is work from home because I'm working from home that day. And then usually I like to have like at least 2 days off to like constitute a weekend. So, but technically I work still. I do something related to work still on those days, but in general, it's when I have nothing labeled, that just means that you know, I can find something else to do, like laundry, other tasks around the home instead of just solely focusing on work and writing and all this other stuff. So I do want to show you how I got these labels. I'm going to set up an example. So how you can do this is you'll already have the template. So you'll have labels already. So you can just you can really just click anywhere and just hit enter, and it'll create a new label or a new field. And so what I like to do is I'll just move it over to the side. And this is why I really like Notion, is because it's drag and drop, but also it has some of the copy and paste, like Control V, Control B features that you'll use in Microsoft Word. So let me go back. So in order to drag is this little square right here with the 6 circles, 6 dots. So just to recap, I took it from here and moved it to here where you see the blue line. And so then you can create whatever example. You can highlight it, you can bold it, you can create a heading. So I believe, let's see, this is heading 2. Yeah. So yeah, you can, do whatever background you want. You can change the text colors. Basically, you can modify this any way you want. Emojis you can add. I just do it by right-clicking. I don't know if this is available on Macs or anything, but if you just right-click, if you have a Windows and Microsoft Windows, and you just right-click, you have this emoji option, and you can just add whatever. So in order to get that line, that you see that little faint line that's underneath the heading here, you can just hit enter and then click the plus button, and then you just put divider. So there's a divider right there. And then to get these checklists, you can just go to add, just do to-do list, or you can go to turn into to-do list. So how you get to turn into is these, again, just clicking on these 3 dot or that's rectangle with the 6 dots in it. And you go to this and you go to to-do list, or you can go to bulleted list. So I like the to-do list mainly because a lot of these are repeating tasks. Like the stuff I do in the lab is repeating. Yeah, lab meeting. It's scratched off here just because it was canceled for this week. But I can uncheck it and I'll be doing it again on, going to it next Thursday or the Thursday after. So a lot of these that's why I like using the checklist or the to-do option is because, these are repeating tasks. And so again, to get this as a background color, you can go here. So this highlights the whole thing, not just the text within the to-do list. So you go to, again, those 6 dots, the little rectangle, and then you click whatever background color you want. So if you want blue, you do that, and it'll highlight the whole thing. If you were to just double click this, it would highlight the words only. So that's how you do that. And let's say you want to delete a lot of stuff that you did. You can just drag and drop, hit the delete button, and there you go. If you want to undo, you just hit Control Z. So that's really why I like Notion. But yeah, you can do that. I'll just delete this part. Let's see. Yep, there's that one left. So yeah. So this is the weekly agenda. And so again, how I put this together is I just put the most important stuff throughout the week. And if I can fit in more tasks within that day, which most likely I can, like, for example, this past Sunday when I went into lab, I did more than just the microplastics task. For example, I was doing, some other tasks I can fit in, I started doing some of the things that I was planning on doing on Wednesday. I did some of them on Sunday. So, I just put the most important task for that day, but that doesn't mean that's the only thing that you do. So that's the weekly agenda. I do have like an extra option, some TV shows. Maybe I'm working on some creative projects. I just put them over here and then I just drag and drop them in case I have room or time for them throughout the week. So, and then I have this thoughts on next week. So, as you go through the week, nothing goes really as planned. There's always, a phone call you have to make, a meeting, something comes up, someone, wants you to go to this Zoom meeting or whatever, things get added. So either they get added, within this weekly agenda for that week, or if there's stuff I can push back to next week, then I put thoughts on next week. So for example, if I go into the lab, check on the animals, see if chironomids are hatching. And so, yeah, then I'll just highlight this in red, and then I will, because it's a lab related activity. And then when I create this list for next week, which, I'm filming this on the 31st, so I'm going to be redoing this weekly agenda today. So when I make a list for what I'm going to be doing next week, then I can just drag and drop this to the appropriate days. So that's how I use the weekly agenda. Now, I want to show you how I manage the other section. So what I do recommend is having some organization related to your research projects. And this you can set up however you want. Like I said, I showed you all the template of the thesis planning. And so this is a really good template for planning out your thesis, your different chapters. Maybe you want to put your research related activities within this. That would be great. So what I have now is sort of a modified version of that. I didn't really use this particular template, but the idea is still the same. But in this case, what I do is I list out my dissertation projects. So it's the equivalent of putting your dissertation chapters here. Now, the way that I do this though is every step is listed here, like the general steps of the different chapters, basically, or different projects. And so I have written plans. So obviously not everybody cares to do this, but just so I stay organized, I like to create like a written benchtop type protocol, as well as sort of a general plan. And so before I start any project, even if it's written out in paragraph form, at least I have a written plan that's more of a bulleted list so that it's easier to follow. And so you can see for the microplastic survey, that was complete. And then as you go through, it's sort of, you sort of put the different steps, whether it's complete or in progress of where you are on that particular project. So prep work means, do I have all the materials I need? Are the experimental units being set up? So currently I'm in progress of setting up a behavioral study. So I have to like condition the sediments, I have to make sure there's enough chironomids, I have to make sure they're hatching, I have to make sure they reach appropriate age before I use them in an experiment. So that's all under prep work. So that's in progress right now. And then there's survey/experiment. So this just means, is the experiment in progress? Is the field survey in progress? Is there any additional comment or any additional sites that need to be added? For example, are you started and completed the project, but we decided for this GSI project, but we decided to add a couple more sites. And then there's sample processing. So after you do an experiment, or maybe you collect stuff from the field and bring it back to the lab, you have to process those samples. So that's basically what this section is. And then of course there's stats. This is not, nothing here is finished. This is just an example. So that I want to, show you all. So I have, let's see. Of course, after you finish processing the samples, you have to do some stats on it. So I put, stats here. One of them is in progress because of the way that I have the data, as I input the data and get it, it automatically updates the stats for me. So that's why it's in progress. And then you have your writing stage. So the template I showed you before for, looking at thesis planning, that was more about the writing stage. As you can see, it said chapter 1, 2, 3, and then it has sources and all this other stuff. So, but this is like very general, not that detailed at all. So in the writing stage, what I want to do, I mean, I haven't really like truly started, but what I would do is I put in progress if I'm in progress of writing. And then if the draft is complete, it is complete. but maybe it's complete, but I want to sit on it for a few days, so I'll just leave it like that until it gets sent to my advisor. Then I mark it off as advisor. And then let's say she sends a draft back, or revisions of the draft. Um, it might take me forever to complete the revisions. Who knows? So it'll be editing until then. And then when I finish, complete revision, um, most likely complete revision and sent to advisor. Probably not going to sit on that for too long. And then, it might be a couple of these now. You never know. Your advisor, you send it to your advisor, you come back, be editing, goes to complete, your advisor again, editing, and then complete revision. So you just never know. But eventually you're going to get to this final version stage. So that's kind of how I use these various sections. I personally, I'm not the type that likes to send, you know, half of a paper done, but some people are like that. So you can actually just do this write up stage for each, like you can have these different options for each of these different sections if you like to do it that way. However, the way I would do it in general is it will be in progress, right? And so the intro will either be, it'll be in progress. Let's just say that. And in progress, let's say I complete the results. Um, let's see. The conclusion is still in progress. And obviously you'll want to edit this based on the journal or the journal that you plan on submitting to. So for example, some journals have a discussion and a conclusion section. So just, keep that in mind. So until all of these are complete, the write-up stage is still in progress. So I do want to note that, um, all of these subsections come first before I, you know, change this section. And so let's say your advisor sends it back and you're editing, maybe they like the intro, they like the methods you wrote. So complete, they say you need to work on the results. So that'll be in progress. Um, and so, yeah. And so then after you finish editing, it'll be complete and you send it to your advisor again and, do it a few more times. So that's how I do that. And obviously, I mean, you could, whatever format you like. I like putting this, before the subsections, but obviously it's probably more logical to put this at the end of the, um, as the last column here. But however you want to do it, now I'm going to show you how to actually get these subsections. So when you select this template, the name is going to be here anyways. So what I have for these first few columns is I have them as multi-select just to provide me with multiple choices. So for example, you see this sediment section, it's in progress, but before I continue, I also want to double check the literature. So that's kind of why I have this other option right here. So the multi-select just allows you to be more detailed in terms of describing these different roles or different projects. And so again, you just click on it, you go to property type, you have these various options, and then you select the one that you want. How you add a column is, you just click on whatever column, we'll do the first one. Then you can insert to the right, you change to whatever property you want, do checklists. You can do date. So let's say you want to set a deadline for any of these different sections or however you format. Maybe you want to set a deadline. So you can go to date. Sorry, I keep clicking. You just choose whatever date you want, and there you go. You can also choose an end date, so you can give yourself some time if you like to put that sort of pressure on yourself. And then you can set a time as well. Then you can do a reminder. I'm not sure if the reminder goes through your desktop, but they do have a phone app, which I highly recommend. And I'm going to show you how I really use the phone app in order to use Notion, or in order to just, make things faster for myself. You can, of course, change the actual format however you want. So that's how you do that. Let's see if there's anything important. Let's say you are using this with multiple people, you have a person property, you can just select, obviously I'm the only person that's on this account, but if you have a multiple account, with multiple people, then you can just select the person that's going to be working on that particular project. Or let's see, I've never used this feature, but let's say you're working with the undergrad. No, you cannot add people. So you can't add people via text. So they have to be listed on here. But let's say you are working with multiple people and you just want to keep track of who's working on those particular projects. Then you just hit the text section and you can just add your undergraduate's name that's helping you or assisting you on the project. So that's how you do that basically. I'm just going to delete that column. Then you have select. So select is just one option, which is all I need for the rest of these columns. I don't intend to be detailed in this because, the documents that I'll be editing, revising, updating will be the detail that I need. Like, I don't need to add any more detail into these sections. Another thing about Notion, though, is here, let's see. Let's add another column is you can do formulas. So you can, if you have numbers, you can insert them, but you can also do you have a lot of options here for formulas, basically. The thing I would warn against, obviously, is you don't want to, with any website in general, you don't want to keep your data on it. Privacy concerns, privacy issues, security issues with a lot of these websites, whether or not it's Notion or any other productivity website or, even Microsoft, like, there's always a risk. So just be mindful of that. I personally would not use Notion or any website like this to input data or store important data files. So definitely don't, I wouldn't recommend that. But, if you do want to add some calculations, like I'll show you in the next area, you might want to input some numbers, then that's how you do it. So that's that. I do want to explain. So I do have dissertation projects because at the top, because that's the most important. And then I have collaborative and side projects. So these are all projects I'm either collaborating with someone on, or, in this case, it's a paper, this outreach project. So, I just have these in a separate section just to not overcomplicate things or over confuse things. And for the paper, to give you an example of how you can use this for papers. So I have like the written plan is basically the equivalent of an outline. The prep is, am I writing it? Am I writing the section that that I agreed to write? The answer is yes. So it's in progress. And then as I get along here, there's no survey experiment required because it's just a review paper. So, and then we have sample processing, not necessary. So then I would skip all the way to just the writing stage for the paper. So that's just, an example how I use it. So on to the fun part, which is husbandry. I like calling it husbandry because it sounds like fancy. It's like I'm doing something important when it's really just algae, fly larvae. But so this is where I keep track of all of the cultures that are relevant to my experiments. So for chironomids, I have 3 tanks. So that's, the number of units, 3. And then I haven't updated this recently, but, I already did this. So I put last activity. So in this case, last activity would be the 27th because I did that. And then I had to figure out what the next time I'll come into lab and do this. But so yeah, that's basically, it's so simple. Just the last time that I went into lab and did something related to, chironomids, diatoms, or mayflies. And then I will, I like to keep track of when's the next time I plan on doing something, to take care of these different animals. And then in the activity section, I just put what activities I plan on doing, the next time I come in. Am I going to be feeding the animals? Am I going to be thinning the cultures? Am I going to be checking to make sure they're not contaminated or they don't have a lot of ciliates in the culture? So those type of things. And then, of course, there's a note section in case anything goes horribly awry. So yeah, and just to note the bottom of this, you can calculate each cell. So yeah, that's pretty much all I do for the husbandry section. I might find a way to elaborate on this section. Maybe I'll open these and then add some information regarding maybe some sources regarding how you can set up the units or maybe something like that. I don't know. Although I already know how to set up the units, but it'll be good to like have that reference material. But anyways, so that's how I use that section. Very short and sweet. And I would highly recommend something like this, especially if you are maybe a lab manager or you're like the de facto lab manager, but you're not getting paid lab manager money, then, but you still have to take care of everything in the lab, then definitely something like this will, be good for organizing. The other thing I want to show you is how I use Notion in concurrence with, the desktop in concurrence with the phone app. So there's a lot of times where I have to like sign forms and stuff like that. And my phone has a stylus on it, but my laptop doesn't. So it's just so much easier if I were to sign forms on my phone rather than like using those like ugly electronic, fake signatures. I'd rather just use my real signature. So what I'll do is I will, often I will, sign on my phone, and then on my phone I will upload the document to Notion in its copy and paste section, and then if I need to print it, then I'll print it, download this on my laptop and then print it from the laptop or send it to an email from the laptop. So that's how I use this copy and paste section. I also think it's just really convenient to use copy and paste here versus like always emailing yourself something, especially if your email is really clogged with stuff, which mine tends to be nowadays. And like now I'm at the point where emails are like kind of getting lost in the shuffle. So I don't want to be constantly like making it worse by emailing myself stuff that I'm going to email to other people anyways, or stuff that is not relevant to academia or science. It's just like random stuff that I find online that I want to like copy and paste to save later. Then I will use this section. So that's just what I wanted to show you all. It's just an easy way to transfer information between phones. Maybe you find a cool recipe while you're like death scrolling through Twitter or something like that. Then maybe you want to add it to the copy and paste section and keep it for later. And then I have some other sections, content management, social media type stuff or website related stuff. Then I have the creative projects. So, I have, both science, work, immediate importance related stuff here at the top. And then I have like all the other stuff that is, still important to me, but um, is technically low priority to my overall goal, which is trying to graduate. So, yeah, so this is Notion. I hope you all enjoyed it. Um, I hope you all got something from it. And if you end up deciding that you want to work within Notion here, definitely look at some more YouTube videos online. I think this is personally, I try a lot of online productivity tools, and this one is the most user friendly, in my opinion. It was very easy to grasp. Um, I like the fact that a lot of the functions are stuff that we already use when we're in Word and Excel. So it makes it a lot easier that way to use it and understand this website. And yeah, so you shouldn't really have any problem using it if you're completely new to productivity tools. But if you do want to, get the mechanics down and a more detailed, thorough look at it, definitely search YouTube. There's a ton of videos on um, every step of the way to walk you through, you know, Notion. But hopefully this video helps you on how you can actually use this program or this website in order to um, just make your life more organized and a little bit more productive. Um, don't forget to put in some rest days on your weekly agenda as well. You cannot forget that. It's a lot of graduate school is a lot of work, so definitely take a break. All right. Well, thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe and come back. Bye.